Hi everyone, how's it going? Ryan Pritt, President Co-Founder of Pritt Entertainment Group here with you, and we are so excited to have you joining us here today for our virtual open house, the brand new Pritt Entertainment Group offices inside the historic Carlton building here in downtown Akron. We are so thrilled to show you around. There's a lot to see, and we're going to show you all of it here over the course of the day. Got some stuff to tell you about the history of the building as well. It's one of, like we mentioned, the more historic buildings here in the central part of downtown Akron, and redesigning the space was really fun. It was an interesting challenge to bring this old space up to modern times. We've got some guests to talk about that as well and how the design inspiration of it came to be. And also some special guests that will be joining us to talk about all the excitement and energy going on throughout downtown Akron. It's not just inside these walls, but also outside of it. Some really exciting stuff going on, and we've got some guests coming in to talk about that as well. Keep in mind, obviously, there's a reason we're doing this event virtually today instead of having a big open house and having everybody inside the space here, but our Pritt Entertainment Group team taking thorough safety precautions throughout the day, as they always do, to make sure not only is this a safe shoot and production, but a fun one for everybody involved, and we cannot wait to share the day with you here today. It's going to be a whole lot of fun, and first, we mentioned the history of the building. No better way to get it kicked off than right there. The Carlton building, over 120 years old. It's one of the oldest buildings in downtown Akron. Let's take a look back at the history and how it's been such a big part of Akron. Well, there you see some of the rich history of the Carlton building. It's been a huge part of downtown Akron's history, and we've taken great pride in trying to keep a lot of that history and old classic charm in the building as we also reimagine it into a modern, cool space for our Pritt Entertainment Group team. Jeffrey Pritt, co-founder and creative director here at Pritt Entertainment Group, has been a big part of the entire process. And earlier today, before we set up for everything here on the virtual open house, he had a chance to give us a virtual tour behind the scenes and show you all around. So for the first time, you'll get to see the finished product and all that we've got in store here inside the Carlton building. So let's take a look.
Hi everyone, I'm Jeffrey. We're here in downtown Akron, and I'm going to give you a tour of our newly renovated space. We're going to start up here in the front of the building in the lounge. You're going to notice a few things immediately. Everything here is really comfort focused. So everything from these huge, beautiful windows that look out onto downtown Akron, onto Lock 3, to seating areas like couches, coffee tables, chairs. We have a billiards table right here if you want to play a game. We have an NBA Jam machine over on the wall there. Everything in the space is designed to be really a comfortable place to relax. So if you're a client coming in and waiting for a meeting to start, perfect for that. If you're somebody who just needs to take a break in the middle of the day and wants to get a little natural light, this is really the spot in the building. It's also going to be the start of a lot of design themes you're going to see continue through the space. So you're going to see a lot of natural wood in this space, both with our 6x6 and 6x12 pine beams and posts, and with our wood lath, more on that later. You'll see that start here, and you'll also see that there is blackened steel that is really a continuing theme throughout. Those themes combined with the super high 10+ foot ceilings in here makes it a really cool, really unique space. This is our main conference room, and this entire space is designed for collaboration. So lots of seating, big whiteboard, we've got TV on the wall we can use for Zoom calls, presentations, or even a studio feed where you can see in real time what's happening in our studio. So you could literally watch an entire shoot happen all from the comfort of this conference room. So it's a really unique space, a really big space, great for clients and our internal team alike. And now we find ourselves in the front editing suite. This room is awesome. Not only do you have 3 monitors to really look at your whole project, you can plug in a Mac Pro, MacBook Pro, you've got a big TV to preview things, 4K, you got a couch over here where you can kick back and really do longer work sessions. You have a mini fridge. I mean, this room is even mostly soundproof, so you can watch videos back in real time, no headphones needed, nothing like that, and you're not gonna disturb the rest of the office. So it's really just the best of all worlds. Here we are in the kitchen, and this is definitely a big upgrade compared to our previous office. This kitchen has a full-size fridge and freezer combo, which is awesome. It has this island in the middle, which is great. We also have a nice big countertop back there. We have custom tile, which we did in-house, which was certainly an adventure. And that blackened steel continues in the ceiling. We also have a collaborative eating area across from me. And that area is really great. It's got 2 different booths to sit in. It's got a table with 4 chairs. It's really got some really nice space for our crew to spread out and enjoy a meal together. Now we arrive in the bullpen, definitely the largest space in the whole office. We're back to those super tall ceilings, which helps it feel really open and airy. The other thing you're gonna notice right away in this space is the really, really cool lights. These lights were custom made for this space and custom fabricated for this building. And you can tell, because they really match the overall industrial aesthetic of the entire place. And it really continues that kind of hammered black and steel finish that we see in other areas up until this point. When you look around the bullpen, you're gonna notice that there's 6 desks. There's 4 of them for editors and 2 of them for account managers. And on top of that, we also have just a nice seating area for quick impromptu meetings. When you look in the middle of the bullpen, you're gonna notice this really, really cool work table. And this is just a really natural congregation point where people just tend to float out into the bullpen to collaborate for a while. There's power built right into the table, which is great if you have to use a laptop and charge it up or a phone or something like that. And the other kind of hidden quality about the bullpen is, like every other area in this building, it has high-speed networking that hooks into our server in the back. More on that later. With that connection, we're able to edit essentially like you have the footage directly on your desktop, but it's all off of a big shared and backed up server, which is really, really cool. The last thing you're gonna notice in this space is the mural behind me, which was designed by Groundswell, our designers for the entire plan of the facility. And we actually did that mural in-house, which was certainly an interesting challenge, just like the tile we talked about before. But it turned out awesome, and definitely it's that focal point when you look down the hallway. It just pops all those colors right at you. So definitely a unique space, and one that you tend to just float out to and spend a bunch of time in. Now we're here in the rear of our space in the private offices. You're gonna notice there's some common touches between each of the offices, like the colorful rear wall, the wood lattice ceilings, but then it starts to get a little more personalized. You'll see my office here on the left is different than Ryan's from the right, little personal touches here and there. Brianna's space also unique back here, and we have another office in the back as well. We also have a smaller conference room back here that really is meant more for 6-ish people. It's more for internal meetings, things like that. At the end of the hallway, you're going to find our rear editing suite. So we went from 0 editing suites to 2, which is awesome. Kind of similar application and usage. So you're gonna see a computer with a TV above, so it makes it really easy, whether it's internal or external feedback and revisions, to work collaboratively, all in one space, really easy to drill down on edits. You're also gonna see in the rear of this room these big mysterious gray doors, and those actually go to our server closet. So that's where all of our footage is stored, whether it be internal, whether it be external for clients. Everything is redundant, all connected with super high-speed links, so everybody can access the footage really easily throughout our whole facility. Well, that's it for our main floor. Certainly once COVID calms down, feel free to reach out if you want to see it in person. And in the meantime, we hope you enjoyed this virtual look at our main floor.
Thank you very much, Jeffrey, for that tour. We hope you liked it. We're pretty partial, but we think that it's a really cool space, and we hope that you do as well. So neat to get to see it all come together here and have a great new creative space for our Print Entertainment Group team. They do some amazing work. Let's take a look at some of the work that we do here at PEG and show you some of the stuff we do not only here in the Akron area, but all across the country. There you see some of the cool work our Print Entertainment Group team does, and now to see some of the cool work that another valuable member of this project did. We've got Devin O'Neill, Director of Interior Design for Groundswell Design Group here with us. Devin, welcome to our virtual open house here for PEG.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you've been a huge part of this process. Now, when we get started here, why don't you tell us a little bit at first about Groundswell and what it is that you guys do?
Sure. So Groundswell is a design firm. We're based out of Philadelphia and have some other offices in Detroit and a few other areas. We do work all over the country and in some places throughout the world. We are a little bit more unique in the fact that we have both interior and exterior designers that focus on interior and exterior specifically. We do anything, we specialize in hospitality, placemaking, and public space activations. We do anything from large communal parks to public space activations, art installations, pop-up beer gardens. And on the interior side of things, we do bars, restaurants, hotels, cafes, amenity spaces, and in some cases, when we have cool clients that want a more unique offering for an office, we do offices as well. I would say we specialize in kind of blending indoor and outdoor spaces, bringing the outdoor in and the indoor out, and creating very cohesive spaces between the two trades, since we do offer kind of specialties in both of them. And one of the things I would say that we definitely focus on from the interior side of things is adaptively reusing buildings and finding new life for buildings that might want to be used for something different now than they may have been in the past, and also just kind of tying into the local vernacular of kind of where the spaces we're designing are.
Absolutely, and that's what we loved about working with you guys on the project, and what attracted us to working with you guys from the beginning is how you guys do build those spaces that are really great for collaboration, bringing people together. And you guys are so good at repurposing old buildings like this one, being over 120 years old, this space in particular. So with this space in particular, what was kind of the inspiration? What vibe were you going for? Tell us a little bit about how the project started.
All right. So you guys actually have a very cool building. And, you know, one of the things I would definitely say that stuck out about the building is it does have very industrial bones. And being located in Akron, it's a city that has a very industrial past. So I would say that one of the things we kind of tried to lean into was kind of paying an homage to the industrial nature of both the city and the building itself. In addition to kind of playing up some of the more raw elements that may have existed within the space, I would say one of the things we tried to do and draw inspiration from was kind of this play of old and new. So bringing some more modern touches to a more industrial backdrop that kind of represents what the building was, but also, you know, what you guys were going to be doing within the space and the use of the space in the future. So you will see, you know, within the space, there are more industrial and gritty elements such as brick or reclaimed beams or upcycled warehouse building or warehouse windows. And these all kind of start to juxtapose one another with, you know, some of the color applications. There's a place for a mural within the building, but the mural is a little bit more of a modern touch, not just a graffiti mural that you typically find on an old building in a city. So I would say those are definitely two things that we tried to kind of play with, in addition to kind of just playing with this whole idea of light and bright. because one of the challenges that exists within the space that you guys are in is it's almost like a townhouse in that all of your natural light is kind of located in the front of the building. You don't really get any natural light on the sides. So by going with a lighter and brighter color palette, it helped to kind of expand upon and draw the light back so that the light wasn't just concentrated in the front of the space. So I would say that's definitely some of the things that we tried to draw inspiration from to kind of, again, tie into the local vernacular and kind of both what you guys do as a company and the history of the building.
Definitely. And everybody, I'm sure when they think of interior design, they think of, just browsing furniture and paint colors and things like that. But there's a lot more that goes into the process, right? Like, what are some of the behind the scenes part of the process that people probably don't know about?
There's so many things. So I will say that, furnishings and finishes are part of interior design, but to your point, interior design is much more than that. It is working to figure out programming and planning, space planning and understanding, spatial relationships and ergonomics to figure out how big spaces should be and adjacencies and spacing and stuff like that for thinking ahead of how people are actually going to be using the space. In addition, there's, a layer of coordination with lighting and mechanical and electrical and, egress and plumbing and all that fun stuff that isn't necessarily fun, but if it's coordinated correctly, makes for a good end-all be-all project.
Absolutely. Now, obviously, this project's been going on for a little while, over a year now, and there was obviously the pandemic that has been going on during that entire time. So you actually got your first sneak peek at the finished product the other day. What are some of your favorite features or design elements in this building personally?
So I would say the two spaces for me that when I saw photos, I was like, these look amazing, are kind of the reception lounge area when you first kind of come up the stairs, and then the kind of open office area. And I think the reason that these speak so well, both in photos and I imagine in person, is it's kind of, there were points that were kind of identified throughout the design process as kind of like accent points throughout your journey throughout the space. So when you walk up the stairs, you kind of get hit like bam with the reception area, and it's like a bunch of lounges it's very layered with, area rugs and artwork and just like fun settings of things that people can do and hang out and lounge. But you also have the beautiful backdrop of kind of all the natural light and the sights to the city itself, which is kind of like a big wow moment when you first enter within the office. And then it's almost like when you do a 180 and turn around, the back of the office where you kind of have more of the open office area, there's a big mural that kind of draws you back there. And again, does something similar. It kind of creates this layering and this backdrop to kind of pull you through and just kind of starts to set the tone for the fact that you guys are like a fun office. And, you have a space that definitely has a lot of character, has a lot of, unique and defined design elements and, creates like a real sense of space and contributes to your identity, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, definitely. You guys did a great job on it, Devin. We thank you guys for all the hard work, you especially, and thank you for joining us and being a part of our virtual open house here today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks, Devin. And so we talked about the interior design aspect of it. The other big part of it, the construction itself, and just across the office, Jeffrey is standing by. We mentioned earlier he was a big part of the construction and bringing it all together, and he's going to give you a little behind-the-scenes look at how the construction side of things went. So Jeffrey, we'll let you take it away over there.
Thanks, Ryan. We've spent a lot of time today looking at photos and video of the completed space, but I'm going to take you a little bit back in time to during the construction phase, something I was involved in quite a bit. Obviously, we had a huge team of contractors and partners that helped throughout, and we're going to see some of their work and kind of midway through their work with this little presentation I have. So to start out, this is actually the floor we're standing in and on right now, floor 2. So you can see there's an old HVAC exhaust line. That was basically just there so the place didn't freeze. There's a little maintenance heater down on the first floor. And as you can see, things have changed quite a bit. This is it in its super raw form. As you can see, we actually kept some of this wall texture, but the floor, every aspect of it was unlevel, so we had to level out the whole thing, repair these huge holes, bad joists, I mean, you name it. This place really needed some serious work. And this wall you see back here, we actually retained most of it. That's the wall that became the mural wall that you saw earlier with all the different colors in it. So obviously we closed up this doorway, we took out that fan, as nice as it was, it had to go, and opened up this doorway, and that became the second floor. Our next picture here is just a little bit of a different angle. You can see the temporary staircase here. All of this pretty much just had to be taken down to a complete white box for us to then build it right back up. Now, this is when we're in part of the framing stage. You can see the steel studs here. You can see these 6x6 and 6x12 cedar posts and beams. Right now, we're roughing in drywall. We've still got some stud walls opened up, and we're starting to put in some of this backer board that we put that wood lath on. So this is a very raw form still. This is actually the conference room that you saw on the second floor. This is before it had all of its windows and when we're still getting all of the lighting settled, we're still getting all the drywall finishing work done. And you can see, of course, there's tools everywhere. I mean, that's always how these projects go. But this particularly, you know, this is kind of when we're getting towards the backer board stages and really finishing out drywall, getting towards paint for this area. This is actually the kitchen all opened up. This has the bracing you'd install anytime you're putting in cabinetry behind the steel studs so you have something to screw to. And this is before anybody even thought about something like a kitchen island. This is really just kind of the raw framing stage. Here we see the window that you've probably seen in other pieces and parts of this production. This is the insulation behind the wall. And the windows we actually retained. Those are the same windows as when we purchased the building, but obviously we had to, of course, drywall, which you'll see later, this area. And this is all nicely insulated. A lot of insulation in the front there. It's actually pretty efficient. Now we're kind of in the bullpen and we're facing towards the front of the building. This area would get covered with wood lath later, and you can see that we still aren't really in our paint stages. We still haven't done our ceilings in here. There's still a lot of more minor work to go, but we're really kind of getting done with the framing and the drywall mudding in this area. As we go to here, you see the start of the mural wall. As we said, we did that in-house actually, very proud of that. And as you can see, we only have a few of the colors on the wall, so definitely more still to come. And of course, as construction proceeded, you get little nicks and scratches, patches and repairs of those colors as well. Here we see we're back to that kitchen area. You saw the framing over there earlier. This is with the cabinetry in place. And as you can see, we have no door handles on. We don't have any of the nice quartz countertops or any of the sinks in. This is all just getting spaced and leveled out. As you would imagine in a building like this, it's not very simple to get a perfectly level kitchen, but I can promise you if you throw a level on ours, it is. So now we're back to that front window we looked at earlier. And at this point, we have all of our drywall sheets hung, everything's mudded up, and we're getting ready for paint. And now we're jumping to the back of the office. This is actually the private offices in the rear. This area needed a lot less repair work, but we're working around a lot of structural steel. So it was definitely an adventure getting this layout all set up in such a way where we had the most offices while also working around things that couldn't change. As you probably see in the back, this staircase does not quite look like that anymore. That had to get removed and a new staircase built in its place. Now we're looking at the office that would one day become Ryan's office. You know, sometimes it gets messy. It doesn't quite look this messy in there. But again, we're working around structural steel here, and we have none of the steel stud work up yet, so there's still a lot of work to go. This is actually the same office, Ryan's office, and these are the actual walls that, of course, the drywall went onto, and this became Ryan's office and Brianna's office. So this gives you just a little bit more of an advanced step in the entire process of constructing the building. And now we're looking again in the offices. We're kind of standing in the rear editing suite at this point. My office actually is off there to the right, fun fact. So yeah, we're just kind of looking at more of the progress. And this, now, we are upstairs now and we're looking at what would become our studio. It looks a little different here. It looks a little longer because there wasn't that rear stairwell yet. This stairwell came out, and now that had been filled in and become another part of the floor, and this all needed to get reconfigured. But if you kind of keep an eye on this pipe as you look in the studio, in our next segment, you'll see kind of where that ended up. And this is when we've actually gone through, we've whitened all the walls, we've painted them all white, I should say. And basically, this is before we have any gear shelves up at all. And as you know, we have a lot of gear. So actually, in our next segment, we're going to kick it up to Josh, who's going to give you a tour of what this space looks like, all finished.
Awesome, thanks, Jeffrey. Welcome everyone to our new studio space. So this is up on our third floor. This is about 1,400 square feet of studio space. And throughout the whole construction process that Jeffrey just kind of showed you through, we were discussing what needed to be done in here to make it perfect for our needs. And one of the big ones we came up with is sound dampening, because we are in the middle of the city after all. So if you look above me, we've actually got quite a few sound dampening panels hung. We'll be even maybe possibly adding some sound dampening to the walls later on. So it's a big goal of ours to have this be a very, very clean audio space. Another big thing for us is just having all of this space. Like I said, it's about 1,400, 1,500 square feet. So you can see we can set up a interview setup, and then we can also even have kind of a product photography, or in this case, a small Lego world. So over here, we're doing a stop motion project for a client involving all Legos. The little characters will move, we'll take another picture. It's very, very cool. But the big thing about it is, it's a large setup. At our old office, there was no way we could have this set up and leave it set up for as long as it has been. It's been up for quite a few weeks now, without it being an inconvenience. It would have taken up quite a bit of space. But as you can see up here, it's just a small part of the studio space. And we even had room to set up a partial interview setup. So this is for a client shoot that we have coming up in a few days. We just got a head start on it. You can see we're missing quite a bit of the gear, and that's because it's actually downstairs with Jeffrey and Ryan right now. But this is really, really cool, and it shows off another important part about the space, which is these really high ceilings. So as you can see, the backdrop behind me could even still go up another foot. That means we can also fly our lights higher, we can fly our boom pole higher. It just gives us a lot more room to work. And I can honestly say just having high ceilings in an interview setup is never going to be a bad thing. Another important thing that I'm pretty certain Jeffrey has talked about is the high-speed internet that we ran through the whole space. It's even up here, and why that's important is we were able to stream our camera feeds to a remote client in California. So they were able to see all the feeds, give feedback on shots, and actually even direct some of the talent. And they did that from over here. In every studio shoot we've done, we've had a client viewing area. So this is just a multi-viewer feed of all of our cameras, and possibly even a teleprompter feed if they need it. So whatever video feed they need, it comes in here. When we did the stream, we took an output of this, sent it into a Zoom call, and they were able to see all of that. But another thing we can do is take that same output and bring it over here. So Jeffrey installed a really useful jack here, and this allows us to take that feed, plug it right in, and it will show up on every TV in the office downstairs. I'm actually pretty certain he's mentioned this once already. Now, why that's important is because clients don't have to necessarily be up here in the space. So if they're nervous about making noise or being in the way, they can be downstairs in one of the more comfortable seating areas, still making plans, still talking loudly, and it won't affect the shoot at all. They'll still be able to see all of the shots, which is super awesome for the client. Let's head this way. I'll show you guys gear storage. So here is our gear storage area. This is actually the same shelving that we used in our old offices. It's super heavy duty, with one awesome upgrade since we came into the space. These used to be like steel grate shelves, and it made it tough because these hard cases would catch. You couldn't get anything in and out. So a big request was to have these be kind of more carpeted and smooth, and now everything kind of just slides in and out of the shelves super, super easily. So over here on your guys' right, we have all of our cameras and lensing. On your left, we have our production equipment, our charging shelf for our numerous batteries, some other MISC equipment. On your right, we also included a permanent offload computer, so we can take all of our footage from your shoots, come in, very quickly get it plugged in and offloaded to the server without having to take it down to the production floor, plug into one of those systems. This is just much more useful for us. Also on your right is kind of more MISC equipment. This is our wireless transmitter, a few of our recording decks, timecode lockers, a lot of things like that. And then on our left is the support equipment like tripods, Dana dollies, and we also have all of our lighting here. Behind me, though, is by far the biggest upgrade that I think we've made in moving to this space. I may be biased on that, but let me tell you a story. At the old office, if we needed to load up for a shoot and we had 50 bags that were all coming with us, which is maybe sounds made up, but that is not, we have loaded our van to the brim before. We would have to go downstairs into the basement, grab them off of the shelves, load up like a pack mule and carry as much of it upstairs as we could, out to the van and load it up. That process has changed drastically. Now we open this garage door behind me, the van is parked right here, you open the side door and you can literally reach this gear out to someone standing in the van. The gear doesn't move 10 feet. It's fantastic. It is definitely, in my opinion, the biggest upgrade that we've made. So that is our studio tour. I hope you guys enjoyed the new studio. If you're downtown and you ever want to actually take a look at it, or you're considering using it for a shoot, obviously reach out to us and you can come actually take a true look at it. It doesn't have to be the virtual tour. I'm going to kick it back down to Ryan now with a special guest from the city of Akron.
Thank you very much, Josh. Love seeing that studio space up there. We've already gotten a lot of use out of it, and it's been a really great addition for our Print Entertainment Group team to have that up there. And as we move on our virtual open house here in our new PEG offices in downtown Akron, got another special guest with us, Heather Roschick. She is the Innovation and Entrepreneurship Advocate for the City of Akron. Heather, you worked with us a lot on this project, and first of all, I want to say thank you so much for all of your hard work to help bring this to life and make it happen.
No, absolutely. Congratulations. I seriously am blown away by the space and just really happy to have you guys downtown.
Thank you so much. We definitely appreciate that and very glad to be here as well. Now, you work with a lot of small business, and that's essential to any downtown, Akron being no different than the rest. Tell us a little bit about why that's such a priority for yourself and for the city.
Yeah, I think small businesses are critical to cities. Obviously they, supply jobs and services to the neighborhoods. That's one of the reasons why Mayor Horgan is working so hard to try and revitalize our neighborhood business districts is, so that people can not necessarily have to get in their car to go and, go get their dry cleaning or whatever, that they can walk to their dry cleaners or their bank. But I think that, even beyond those basic things, small businesses are really what make cities what they are. When you think about the cities that you love and the reason that you love them, so often it's because of those small businesses. Like if I'm traveling to a new city and I reach out to somebody for recommendations, I want to know, where can I get the best ice cream? Who pours the best Manhattan? And is there a small bookstore there? And if you live in that city, it's even better because you get to know the business owner, you get to know the person working behind the counter, and it really becomes part of the fabric of your daily life. I think that small businesses are truly what makes one city different from another. They really make the place.
Yeah, couldn't agree more on that one. And that's part of the reason we love being downtown too, is just the diversity of businesses down here and restaurants and there's a lot of great areas in Northeast Ohio and everywhere that, are more suburban, but there's something about being in a downtown where you can walk to local restaurants and coffee shops and bakeries that really makes the downtown working experience fun as well.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of that, obviously our office is here up on the second and third floors of the Carlton building, but I know you guys have a new program as well that is making its way downtown this year that's going to help try to continue to build that momentum and snowball effect of small businesses. Can you tell us a little bit about what you guys are doing in that regard?
Yeah, so we actually just launched applications for the Rubber City Match program. And Rubber City Match it's a program that pairs up business owners who are interested in moving into a storefront with building owners who have a vacant space that they're trying to get filled. Along the way, we provide them with technical assistance and support. We make introductions to business-friendly lenders who are maybe more apt to lend to somebody who might not have a great credit history or doesn't have a long history being in business or is a new business. And then there's also opportunities for grants along the way as well. So I would say that program is particularly geared towards business owners who might have difficulty getting a loan through a traditional bank. But if you're fortunate enough to not be in that position, we are also right now working through plans on how to spend the money that we're getting from the federal government as a result of the response to COVID. And one of the things that we're really thinking through is how might we incentivize small businesses to move into the downtown area. We very much want downtown to be thriving and full of small businesses and, really want to do whatever we can to help with that process.
Awesome. And how rewarding is it for you? Obviously, you get to meet with a lot of the small business owners and the entrepreneurs and figure out how to put the pieces of the puzzle together to make stuff work for them. I got to imagine that's a pretty rewarding thing to get to be a part of every day.
It is, honestly, it is the best job ever. It's so great just to be part of people's journey. And, at the end of it all, when you get to walk into a space like this, when you showed this to me for the first time, it's amazing to think that, if I can have any small part in making something like this happen, it's incredibly rewarding.
Yeah, it takes a lot of hard work and a lot of different people to make any plan and anything even like this come together. So we appreciate that and appreciate you joining us here today as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Heather Roschick with the City of Akron Mayor's Office. Thanks to her for joining us. We'll be back with more of our PEG virtual open house in just a minute. Our Print Entertainment Group virtual open house continues here inside the new PEG offices in downtown Akron, and we've got a very special guest with us. Susie Graham from Downtown Akron Partnership joins us. Susie, obviously this is our third office in downtown right now. We've been growing with downtown, and downtown has gone over a lot of growth in the last year. The construction finally starting to wrap up. It looks gorgeous out there. Tell us a little bit about, for anyone who hasn't been down here recently, what all big changes have been made.
Yeah, so downtown's been under construction for about 2 years. The city was fortunate enough to win 2 Tiger grants that divided the Main Street construction project into 2 phases. And really, it helped us change our utility infrastructure so that we can grow residential and business in downtown. And it helped us create a more walkable downtown by adding things like a cycle track, wider sidewalks, room for cafe seating, new lighting, new signals, and a lot of new green infrastructure into the downtown environment as well.
Very cool. And it was a long process, but one that was definitely much needed. I mean, I remember seeing out there, like, they were finding pieces of trolley track, I think, underneath the streets, right? It had been so long since some of that infrastructure work had been done.
Yes, in some cases, there was infrastructure that was over 100 years old that was underneath the surface of Main Street. So it was time for us to really get down to the roots of Main Street and rebuild for what we want in our future.
Yeah, and speaking of 100-year-old things, we've talked about it earlier in the show here today, but this building, over 100 years, it saw the trolley tracks back out there, and the building had eyes, and a lot has changed, a lot about to change as well across the street. One of the things we really love about this space is Lock 3 and Lock 4 are right across the street. If you're not familiar, big parks here in downtown. Lock 3 kind of the epicenter of activity in downtown Akron, and Lock 3 in the near future about to undergo a makeover of its own, isn't it?
It is. So in downtown, we are fortunate enough to have some green spaces that follow the Ohio and Erie Canal and the Towpath Trail. The Towpath Trail connects us to Zor, Ohio and Cleveland, Ohio. There's about 101 miles of trail that runs right through downtown Akron. And then there are some green spaces at the locks, which used to help us move the canal boats up and down our elevation changes in downtown, which we certainly have. And Lock 3 became that central gathering space for the city of Akron about 18 years ago. There used to be some storefronts very similar to this one that had become very run down, and the former mayor demolished all of those storefronts and created a green space that ended up becoming a place for concerts, for ice skating, and really Akron Central Park. So it's been exciting to see that evolve over the last 18 years. And now there's a plan in place in conjunction with Akron Civic Commons and Olin Design Studios in the city of Akron to rehab Lock 3 and really create the quintessential sort of downtown park space that still allows for things like concerts, but also brings it down to a smaller scale so that you can have that sort of stroll in a downtown park experience that you can't yet experience in that space.
Yeah, definitely. That's one of the biggest things that drew us to this building when we were looking for our permanent home for PEG was the proximity of that and, you know, our staff being able to literally, you know, on their lunch break go over there and have lunch, throw a football around, you know, all that stuff in Lock 3. Like, it's really cool. And so seeing that redevelop is going to be really cool for us. And, you know, speaking of like redeveloping this building, I mean, in the time you've been at Downtown Akron Partnership, this building had been vacant probably that entire time, I imagine. Correct? So we got to show you around a little bit earlier during the break. Cool to see the new renovations and how the space kind of has come back to life.
Amazing to see the renovations, and truly, I think that's one of the most amazing things about you and Jeffrey and your investment in downtown is that you took something that was a property that needed love, and instead of, you know, taking it down to or actually demolishing it, you chose to bring it down to its bare bones and then renovate it and keep so much of that historic nature as part of the process. It's a difficult thing to do. It's always challenging to repurpose a historic space, but we're so fortunate that you did because it helps us keep those, the good bones, I think, of the old downtown and then modernize it for our future vision of what we can be here.
Yeah, definitely. That's very kind. It's been a labor of love, but well worth it to see it all come together and help be a part of downtown's renaissance. So Susie, thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you so much, and thanks for all you do for downtown.
Absolutely. Susie Graham of Downtown Akron Partnership here on our PEG virtual open house. Now, rolling back just a bit, about a week ago, we actually cut the ribbon to officially open our new offices here in downtown Akron. Let's take a look back and see how it was. It's been a labor of love, but it's a really, really fun project, and it's really great to see it all come together. We feel like we've been able to create a really unique space here and something that hopefully represents downtown well. You know, we've been around for 13 years now as a company, and most of that time we've spent in downtown, at least our previous buildings, and we really wanted to invest in it and make this our permanent home.
It's great for us too. I mean, it's a more usable space, and I think it's better for our team and hopefully for the city as well. So I think it turned out great.
Also want to thank our whole Print Entertainment Group team who's here today and all those who have gotten us here over the years, because this project really wouldn't have been possible without them and all of their hard work. It's really exciting. You know, we always say at PEG that we like to bring brands to life, and it was cool to kind of get to take that here and get to bring this old building back to life.
To be able to see you open your doors here really exemplifies the commitment that you have to excellence, your commitment to your employees, and your commitment to our community.
You've got such energy here. Walking around inside the space, it's a place people are going to want to be. And this whole area is a place people are going to want to be.
Summit County, and especially the city of Akron, are open for business.
Any great project really starts with, I think, an interesting story, and this started in Austin, Texas at a Mexican restaurant over some ideas about, hey, what's next? And here we are, you know, some 3 years later because of your hard work. Thank you for anchoring downtown, but now you're in the center. So we look forward to a lot of years of continued success.
So great to have City of Akron Mayor Dan Horgan join us for the ribbon cutting, really the culmination of all the hard work that went into bringing this cool space to life. And we're so thankful that you could join us as well for our virtual open house here today. It was a whole lot of fun, and we hope you enjoyed seeing the space, learning more about the building, and all the exciting stuff happening outside of these walls as well. Of course, for more on Print Entertainment Group, you can go to printentertainmentgroup.com or follow us on all of our social media channels. For more on the Carlton building, you could also go to printproperties.com and their social channels to see some cool behind-the-scenes pictures as well. It's been a whole lot of fun having you here today, and we cannot wait to see you in person here inside our PEG offices in downtown Akron. From all of us here at Print Entertainment Group, thanks for joining us for the virtual open house, and we'll see you soon.